Eleanor Williams. Untold Stories from the West. After my mother, Charlotte, and Elizabeth had pieced together that it was me who had been riding at the back of Roman's horse, Cynthia's maternal instinct kicked into high gear. "Quickly, help me get her to the tent," she instructed, motioning for Charlotte and Elizabeth to lend a hand. Charlotte and Elizabeth rushed forward, their faces mix of relief and concern. "She needs medical attention. She's in significant pain," Roman stated firmly. He swiftly dismounted Sompra and assisted Cynthia in helping me down from the horse. "How the hell is she with you? How did you find her?" Elizabeth demanded answers. "She needs morphine," Roman interjected, urgency in his tone. As they carried me to the tent, Roman stayed close until Elizabeth stepped in front of him. "Hey, I'm talking to you." Elizabeth stared at him, her hand hovering near her pistol. "Elizabeth, we don't have time for questions just yet." Cynthia's voice was firm. "There will be time for that later. Get some water for her. Sir, could you sit by the fire and wait there? We have some questions for you." "Si," Roman complied, doing as he was told. Elizabeth's skepticism hung heavy in the air, a silent question lingering on the edge of her lips as she went to the water pocket and picked up a cup. Once inside the tent, they laid me down on the bed. Cynthia immediately began assessing my injuries, her hands moving swiftly and with practiced efficiency. My breathing was shallow, but Charlotte's presence beside me, holding my hand and stroking it, brought a sense of calm. "We need morphine," Cynthia declared, her voice tied with urgency. "Now!" Cripps appeared, carrying our medicine bag containing morphine and syringe. Following closely behind him, Elizabeth arrived with a cup of water. Placing the cup beside my bed, she then joined Roman around the campfire, her expression a mixture of concern and apprehension. Through the haze of torment, I saw my mother, Cynthia, hovering nearby, a small vial in her hand. "Mom, it hurts so much," I whispered, my voice trembling with anguish. "Is Sora here? Is she alright?" The words escaped my lips in a desperate appeal, my heart aching for reassurance. Cynthia's face softened with maternal concern as she drew closer, her touch gentle yet terminated. "I know, sweetheart. We'll make it better," she promised, her voice a soothing balm to my shattered nerves. "And yes, Sora is all right. She's right there with the others." Her words offered a glimmer of comfort amid the turmoil. With practiced hands, Cynthia prepared the syringe, her movements deliberate despite the urgency of the situation. I watched her through tear-filled eyes, a mixture of gratitude and trepidation coursing through my veins. As she administered the morphine, a wave of warmth washed over me, easing the ferocity of my suffering. The pain didn't vanish entirely, but it became more bearable. "Thank you, Mom," I murmured, my voice choked with emotion as I sank back against the pillows, the tension in my body gradually dissipating. Cynthia smiled through her own tears, her love for me radiating brightly in her eyes. "Rest now, Eleanor. Charlotte will stay with you while I go talk to the man who brought you here," she whispered, her voice a soothing melody. I nodded faintly, feeling a sense of peace settled over me as I closed my eyes. "Believe him, please," I mumbled softly, the weight of exhaustion heavy upon my chest. "He didn't do anything bad to me. All he did was to help me." As I laid there, my eyes closed, I felt a sense of security wash over me. The familiarity of my own tent and the comforting presence of Charlotte next to me provided a profound sense of peace. "Eleanor," she murmured, her voice trembling with emotion. I thought you were gone. I couldn't bear it." I reached out, my hand seeking hers in the dim light of the tent. "I'm sorry for causing you such worry," I said, the weight of guilt heavy upon my heart. "But I promise I'm not going anywhere." Charlotte's grip tightened around my hand, her fear still palpable, despite my reassurances. "The thought of losing you, it was breaking my heart," she confessed, her voice raw with emotion. I locked eyes with her, feeling a surge of gratitude for her unwavering presence. "You're not getting rid of me that easily," I declared with a playful smirk, the hint of challenge lingering my tone. With a wink, I conveyed both determination and lightheartedness, letting her know that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I was here to stay. A moment of silence passed between us, the weight of unspoken words lingering in the air. Being away made me realize, I began, my voice trailing off as I struggled to articulate the tumult of emotions stirring within me. Charlotte's gaze softened, her understanding a comforting embrace amidst the uncertainty. "It's okay, Eleanor," she said, her voice a gentle reassurance. "You don't have to say anything right now. Just rest, and we can talk more later." I offered her a grateful smile, my heart warmed by her unwavering support. "Thank you, Charlotte," I said, my words a whispered echo of the profound gratitude that filled my soul. With that, I closed my eyes, content in the knowledge that Charlotte was by my side, her presence a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. These past few days, I had been missing her raspberry scent, and now there she was, next to me. I couldn't believe it. I was overwhelmed with happiness, but amidst the joy, a nagging thought interrupted my elation. "Where is Grandpa Eddie?" "Charlotte, where is Eddie?" I asked, a note of concern creeping into my voice. Meanwhile, under the canopy of stars, Roman, Cynthia, and Elizabeth sat around the crackling campfire, the night air thick with tension. "So," Elizabeth's voice cut through the quiet, her skepticism evident. "How exactly did you come across Eleanor?" Before Roman had time to reply, Elizabeth shot him another question, her tone accusatory. "Did you do something to her?" Roman's brow furrowed in frustration, but he remained composed. "No, Dios mío," he stated firmly, his voice tinged with exasperation. "I didn't harm her. I helped her." Elizabeth's frustration boiled over. "Speak English. We are in America now," she demanded, her tone sharp and impatient. Cynthia stepped in, her voice calm yet authoritative. "Elizabeth, let's not jump to conclusions," she urged, casting a reproachable glance at Elizabeth. "We have to trust him until we have reasons not to." Turning to Roman, Cynthia's expression softened. "Start from the beginning, please," she requested, her tone gentle yet firm. Roman began to recount everything he knew, starting with our encounter before my journey to Armadillo. "I ran into her while she was on her way to Armadillo," he explained. "She kindly offered my friend and me a warm place to stay for the night. We shared a campfire, and then in the morning she continued on her way to the town." Taking a deep breath, Roman continued, his voice betraying a hint of nervousness. "A couple days ago, I spotted her walking in the middle of the road in Annesburg," he recounted. "I was on my lunch break from working in the mine. She collapsed, so I called the doctor, and we took her to the doctor's office. The doctor examined her," Roman continued, "and found that she had a dislocated shoulder, which he corrected while she was unconscious. She also had a wound on her leg, which he cleaned and bandaged. Additionally, she had bruised ribs. She told me about what happened in Limpany, so I know about it." There was a heavy silence, prompting Roman to press on. "She insisted on coming here," he explained, his voice tinged with admiration. "She fought through hell, in pain the whole way. The doctor gave her morphine, but it obviously wore off. I felt I had no choice but to help her, as she would have taken my horse. But more importantly, I couldn't let her down, knowing how much you all meant to her." "Oh my God," Cynthia gasped, her hand instinctively flying to her mouth in disbelief. "My poor daughter. I'm grateful you brought her here. We truly feared the worst," she uttered, her voice trembling with emotion. "We do have a bit of morphine left," Cynthia continued, her gaze turning towards Roman, "but I'm certain Cripps can produce more if necessary. She'll definitely need to stay in bed and rest, as stillborn as she is." "That does sound like Eleanor," Elizabeth agreed, her tone filled with concern. "But it still doesn't explain how she managed to trek from Limpany all the way to Annesburg in that condition." "We need to hear her side of the tale, though." Roman's irritation seeped into his voice. "I wouldn't fabricate such a thing, but if it's your wish, I'll comply." In the confidence of the tent, a whirlwind of emotion swept over me as Charlotte's demeanor shifted from joy to sorrow in the blink of an eye. A sense of foreboding settled in the air, and I knew instinctively that something was amiss. You should ask your mother that," Charlotte replied, her voice betraying a hint of unease. a telltale sign that she was concealing something. Determined to unravel the mystery, I locked eyes with her. "Where is my grandpa, Charlotte?" I demanded, my voice tinged with urgency. Charlotte's attempt to deflect my question faltered, her resolve crumbling beneath the weight of the truth. "He didn't make it, Eleanor," she confessed, her voice heavy with sorrow. "The explosion. He didn't survive. I'm so sorry," she whispered, her words carrying the weight of genuine remorse. Shock rippled through me, the fog of morphine unable to shield me from the rawness of the truth. "No," I murmured, disbelief washing over me. "No, that can't be." A sickening sensation gripped my stomach as the weight of Charlotte's words sank in. "Grandpa is gone? How is that possible?" I couldn't comprehend it. How could a man as experienced as him meet such a tragic end? Guilt washed over me like a tidal wave, threatening to drown any coherent thought. I found myself staring blankly at the ceiling of the tent, unable to find words to express the tumult of emotions raging inside me. Charlotte held out the cup of water that Elizabeth had fetched, her voice gentle yet firm. "Drink some water, Eleanor," she urged, her eyes pleading for cooperation. I remained unresponsive, lost in the whirlwind of my thoughts. "Eleanor, you have to drink," Charlotte insisted, her tone becoming more urgent. "You've been through so much, please." With a sudden, desperate motion, I struck Charlotte's hand, causing the cup fly across the tent, its contents spilling onto the ground. "Leave me alone." My voice tinged with bitterness. "I want to be alone." Charlotte was startled, her eyes widening in surprise as she quickly rose from her seat. She turned her gaze to the upturned cup, its contents now bottled on the ground, before returning her attention to me. "Eleanor," she began, her voice soft, filled with concern and a hint of hurt. As the words left my lips, a pang of regret pierced my heart. I want to be alone. Why did I say that? In truth, all I longed for was Charlotte's comforting embrace, a safe haven where I could surrender to my tears. But in anguish, I had pushed her away, uttering words I didn't truly mean. I remained silent, consumed by a flood of regret for my rash actions. I wished I could take back my harsh words and the forceful gesture that had sent Charlotte away. With a heavy heart, Charlotte retrieved the fallen cup and silently left the tent, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the weight of my remorse. In the days that followed, Roman's presence lingered in our camp. My inability to voice my own truth kept him tethered to our midst. Each passing moment felt heavier than the last, as if weight of my unspoken words pressed down upon me, suffocating any semblance of hope. Elizabeth's judgmental gaze bore down on Roman, her skepticism a palpable force in the air. Despite his repeated attempts to recount his tale, she remained unmoved, her notes accumulating like a testament to her doubt. Despite the pervasive doubt cast by Elizabeth's skepticism, Cynthia and Charlotte stood firm in their belief in Roman's sincerity. Mother's persistent efforts to coax me into eating were met with little success, as the very act of nourishment seemed to elude me. The food she left by my bedside remained largely untouched, a silent testament to my dwindling strength and waning will to endure. Yet Mother's extended beyond mere nourishment. With tender diligence, she tended to my wound each day, gently cleansing it and applying a fresh bandage to shield it from infection. Charlotte's unwavering presence by my side offered a glimmer of solace amidst the darkness that threatened to consume me. Though she had forgiven my earlier outburst, the weight of my guilt remained a heavy burden upon my shoulders. Her attempts to distract me with books, berries, and songs were met with little enthusiasm on my part. Despite her unwavering efforts, I found myself unable to muster the energy to engage, lost in the depths of my own despair. As the third day of my bedridden state dawned, the warmth of the sun filtered through the canvas of my tent, casting a golden glow upon my selected world. The gentle sound of the water being poured reached my ears, a soothing melody amidst the stillness of the morning. Before I could dwell on the tranquility of the moment, a soft patter of footsteps approached my tent, accompanied by a familiar voice. Get up. I'll prepare a bath for you. Charlotte's voice broke through the quiet, her tone laced with a hint of gentle reprimand. You're stinking. When was the last time you took a bath anyway? A bang of shame coursed through me, the stark truth of her observation hitting home. You're right, I admitted to myself, the weight of my negligence settling heavy upon my shoulders. I haven't had a bath in far too long. I can't even remember. With a resigned sigh, I acknowledged the necessity of attending my own well-being. Even amidst the turmoil that engulfed me, it was a small step, but one that held a promise of restoration and renewal in the face of adversity. Despite my persistent aches and weakened state from days of minimal sustenance, I found myself determined to rise from the comfort of my bed. Charlotte, ever observant, noticed my struggle and offered her assistance without hesitation. Let me help you, she said, her voice a soothing reassurance. With her support, I managed to navigate the arduous task of standing, each movement a testament to my resilience. As Charlotte guided me towards the entrance of tent, I couldn't help but notice the absence of familiar faces, including our faithful companion Fuji. Where's everyone? I inquired, my curiosity piqued by their absence. They've set out to sell old jewelry, an hour ahead Cynthia discovered, Charlotte explained, her smile a beacon of warmth in the morning light. They departed early this morning, while you were still rousing from sleep. I insisted they leave so you could enjoy some privacy for your bath. Gratitude swelled within me at Charlotte's thoughtfulness, a glimmer of solace amidst the lingering discomfort of my injuries. With a nod of appreciation, I followed her towards the promise of renewal, eager to immerse myself in the healing embrace of solitude. As I struggled with the buttons of my shirt, frustration mounting with each failed attempt, I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. Charlotte, ever perceptive, noticed my plight and offered her assistance without hesitation once again. Let me help you with that too, she said gently, her voice a comforting presence amid the awkwardness. Reluctantly, I nodded, swallowing my pride as I allowed her to assist me in undressing. The intimacy of the moment hung heavy in the air. The awkwardness was palpable as Charlotte's hands deftly worked to ease me out of my clothes. Despite the discomfort of the situation, I found solace in her unwavering support, grateful for her unspoken understanding and unwillingness to lend a helping hand in my time of need. Thank you, I murmured, my cheeks burning with embarrassment. You're welcome, Charlotte replied with a warm smile. I'll be close by. I'll just go check on the horses. You enjoy your bath. With that, she offered me a reassuring nod before departing, leaving me alone. The gentle sounds of nature surrounded me as I sank into the soothing embrace of the warm bath water. The sensation of warm water enveloping me was a welcomed reprieve, washing away the physical and emotional burdens that had weighed heavily on my shoulders. With each lather of soap and a rinse of water, it felt as though I was shedding layers of negativity, emerging anew. Though the wound on my leg stung a little, it wasn't too overwhelming. I suddenly felt the urge to turn towards the direction where Charlotte had walked off to, where the horses were staying. As I shifted my gaze, a familiar figure loomed before me, causing me to become startled momentarily before a delighted squeal escaped my lips. Sora! I exclaimed, my heart leaping with joy at the sight of my beloved horse. Someone wanted to come see you, Charlotte giggled, holding on the reins with a playful twinkle in her eye. I reached out to stroke Sora's muzzle, overcome with affection. Oh girl, I missed you so much, I murmured, a voice laced with emotion. In response, Sora nuzzled against my hand, her gentle neigh, a comforting reassurance of our unbreakable bond. Charlotte left Sora with me beside the bath, a gentle smile gracing her lips as she offered her assistance. I'll wash these, she said, lifting the pile of my clothes. Suddenly struck with a realization, I halted her. Wait, could you give me the pants? Charlotte's brow furrowed in curiosity, but she obliged, handing them to me without question. As my fingers grazed the fabric, I felt a familiar hardness against my touch. A golden pocket watch I had surreptitiously acquired from the doctor's office. What is it? Charlotte inquired, her curiosity piqued. Placing the pants on the ground, I motioned for her to come closer. Remember back in Armadillo when I mentioned not on my pocket watch, and you told me that I don't even have one? I do, she replied, a hint of confusing evident in her voice. What are you going with this conversation? Well, I have a pocket watch for you. Here, I said, extending it to her. What? Seriously? Is it really for me? How did you get it? Charlotte's excitement was palpable. I hesitated, torn between honesty and discretion. Well, back at the doctor's office, he dropped the pocket watch, so I took it. It's not like he can't afford a new one. Charlotte's disappointment was palpable, as she regarded me with a mix of disbelief and concern. You stole from a doctor? I could feel the weight of her disappointment bearing down on me, and I quickly attempted to defend my actions. I just wanted to make you happy. Like a little souvenir from Annesburg, I offered, hoping to salvage the situation with a touch of innocence. Despite her initial disappointment, a small smile tugged at the corners of Charlotte's lips. You're unbelievable. Thank you, Eleanor. She chuckled softly, her eyes reflecting a mixture of amusement and fondness. Speaking of Annesburg, you still haven't told us how you got there, she continued, gracefully changing the subject as she lifted the pants from the ground. Emerging from the soothing embrace of the bath, I called out to Charlotte, requesting a towel to envelop myself in warmth. With a soft rustle, she appeared in front of me, presenting me with the soft fabric. Thank you, and I'll tell you about Annesburg once I'm dressed, I promised, offering Charlotte a small smile as I started walking towards my tent. I entered my tent to find a clean set of clothes laid out on my bed, along with the fresh bandage. Charlotte had thought of everything. As I began to dress, I hesitated at the sight of the bandage, knowing I would need help with it. I could help you with that if you want. Charlotte's voice came from the entrance of the tent. My heart skipped a beat. You've already done so much, I stammered, feeling my cheeks flush with embarrassment. She stepped closer, her smile warm and inviting. It's no trouble at all, she reassured me, her eyes meeting mine with a reassuring gaze. I relinquished the bandage, settling into a seated position as Charlotte began her task. Her gentle touch of her fingers against my skin sent shivers down my spine, igniting a flutter of excitement in the pit of my stomach. As she skillfully wound the bandage around my thigh, I found myself lost in the sensation, a warmth spreading through me at her close proximity. So, about Annesburg, Charlotte's voice broke through my swirling thoughts. Huh? I blinked, momentarily lost in the sensation of her fingers on my skin. Oh, right, sorry. I struggled to focus, my mind still reeling from the intimacy of the moment. I woke up in a camp in the forest in a place called Beaver Hollow, taken by 2 females. They were part of a female gang, and tried to recruit me, but I refused. They were wanted in Annesburg, so one of them escorted me nearby. I walked the rest of the way until I collapsed, and Roman found me. Beaver Hollow? Did you see beavers? Charlotte asked innocently, her curiosity shining through. I smiled down at her, charmed by her childlike wonder. I didn't see any, but there was a river nearby, so they could have been lurking around, I replied. She looked up to me, her eyes sparkling with interest. I've never heard of a gang composed entirely of females. That's kind of cool. I wonder what they did to get bounty on their heads, she mused. I don't know, I admitted. They mentioned they were headed near Valentine in a couple of weeks. In case I changed my mind, I added. Are you going to? Charlotte's question hung in the air, laden with uncertainty. I shook my head. No, but we need to figure out what we're going to do from now on, I said somberly. As Charlotte finished wrapping the bandage around my thigh, her touch lingered, sending a warm sensation through me. Does it still hurt? She asked, her concern evident. I felt my cheeks flush crimson, a nervous flutter dancing in my stomach. Only a little, I managed to reply, my voice barely above a whisper. My ribs are causing me the most pain, which is preventing me from doing a lot of things I'd like to do already, I confessed. I wish we had checked up on you after the explosion, but it was becoming too dangerous, Charlotte confessed, her voice laced with regret as she settled beside me. I looked down at her hands. She was fidgeting her fingers as she always did when things got serious or nervous for her. It's all right, I reassured her, my gaze softening as it met hers. I harbor no blame towards any of you. What matters is that you're safe now. I feared I might have lost you." A brief silence hung between us before I pressed on, the weight of guilt heavy upon me. I can't shake this feeling of responsibility what occurred, and I regret not spending more time with my grandfather. Charlotte's gaze held depth of understanding as she spoke. "Did you imagine I would return to Armadillo?" she inquired, her tone gentle yet probing. Her eyes then drifted downward, her fingers fidgeting in a silent gesture. "Your guilt is misplaced. None of this is your burden to bear alone. Clint's betrayal blindsided us all, and it was his fault, not yours. We believed he belonged with us, but we were wrong. And your grandfather?" Her eyes softened, touched by memories. "He cherished the moments you shared. Every decision you made carried his silent approval. You're not alone in this, and his legacy lives on through you." Her words, like a soothing balm, sought to ease the ache within me. "No, I thought you would have perished before ever escaping from there." I paused, recalling the raspberries I had nibbled on during my rest with Roman, their tart sweetness, a poignant echo of Charlotte. And then among the grazing sheep my thoughts scattered like leaves in the wind, and my heartbeat quickened with emotion. "Charlotte, during the time I spent away from all of you, I came to realize that Before I could articulate my revelation, the rhythmic thud of approaching hooves drowned out my words. "Charlotte?" a voice called out. It was Cynthia, her arrival disrupting the moment like a sudden gust of wind in a still room. "Are you in here?" she inquired, her voice a stark interruption in the midst of my thoughts. "I apologize. Let's revisit this conversation at a more opportune time, all right?" Charlotte's gentle words accompanied her graceful rise from the bed, a soft smile gracing her lips. Yet another opportunity slipped through my fingers. I mused, feeling a bang of disappointment. "How's everything going in here? Could you lend me a hand with this, please?" Cynthia inquired as she descended from a wagon borrowed from Blackwater, burdened with a treasure trove of medical supplies, essentials, and provisions. In the midst of it all, Elizabeth, Roman, and Fuji embarked on a hunting expedition, while Cripps remained in Blackwater, diligently pursing sales opportunities. Their voices drifted to me as I reclined. Charlotte was recounting to Cynthia my impromptu path, while Cynthia, ever the practical one, mentioned the availability of fruits and vegetables from the grate if hunger struck. I found myself watching Cynthia and Charlotte work together, sorting through the crates of provisions. My attention then became fixed on Charlotte. I became focused on her hands, as she delicately organized the fruits and vegetables, but her movement came to a stop, and my eyes moved up to her arm, and our eyes locked. Her eyes had been fixed on me. Charlotte plucked an apple from the grate, her demeanor radiating warmth as she approached me with a smile. "Would you like this apple?" she offered cheerfully. "An apple?" I responded, puzzled by her gesture. "You seemed drawn to it, so I thought you might want it," she explained. "Oh, right. No, actually, I'm craving chocolate," I admitted sheepishly. "Chocolate?" Charlotte's brow furrowed. "I'm afraid Cynthia didn't bring any," she apologized. "Well, that's all right. Perhaps next time," I signed, a tinge of disappointment evident in my voice. Unwilling to let me down, Charlotte proposed. "I could go to Blackwater and fetch some for you." "No, really, it's fine," I attempted to decline, but she wouldn't hear of it. "You haven't eaten much, and now you're finally craving something. I insist you have it. Chocolate it is. I'll just finish helping Cynthia, and then I'll bring you some," she declared, hands on her hips as if embarking on grand mission. Her gesture was endearing. Once Cynthia and Charlotte have completed their tasks, Cynthia made her way to my tent, carrying the medical bag in her hand. It was my daily dose of morphine, a routine adhered to since my return. Charlotte peeked into the tent, her voice light and cheerful. "I'm heading out now. I'll be walking, so it might take a while, but I'll be back as soon as I can." With a hum on her lips, she started her journey toward Blackwater. "Stay safe," I called after her, deeply appreciative of her kindness. As Charlotte disappeared down the path, My mother's hands moved with steady assurance, holding the syringe of morphine. With practiced ease, she rolled up my sleeve, preparing to deliver the much-needed relief. A soothing wave of comfort coursed through my body. "When do you think I can stop relying on this?" I inquired, meeting my mother's gaze. She gently smoothed my sleeve back down and replied, "Once the worst of the pain has passed. Or at least I believe so. How do you feel now?" "Every day brings a little more strength," I remarked, with a newfound confidence, sinking into the makeshift bed, yearning for a moment's respite. Cynthia's gentle touch brushed against my cheek. "Take a moment to rest, dear," she said softly. "Charlotte is likely to be a while at the general store. I'll prepare the vegetable for tonight's meal." With a reassuring smile, she gracefully gathered the medical bag and stepped out of the tent. I intended to rest my eyes for just a couple of minutes, but I had fallen asleep. Gradually, I became aware of distant voices. Roman and Elizabeth had returned from their hunt, their conversation a low hum against the backdrop of crackling campfire. They had brought back a couple of rabbits and a deer. With a yawn, I rose from my bed and made my way towards the campfire. "Oh, look who's finally on her feet," Elizabeth remarked, her eyes twinkling with a mix of humor and relief. "How are you feeling?" Roman inquired, concern evident in his voice. "I'm fine," I quickly assured Roman. "Mom, is Charlotte still out?" I asked, stepping closer as she deftly sliced pieces from the deer, her movements both skilled and efficient. Cynthia's face grew serious. "Oh my God, she hasn't returned. I definitely lost the track of time. She's been gone for too long," she said, fear beginning to show in her eyes. "Roman, could you take care of this deer meat for me?" she asked. "Of course, senora," Roman replied with a nod. My mother washed her hands and walked past me towards her tent. As she passed me, I noticed she had a blank look on her face, like she wasn't even here. She entered her tent. I looked at Roman as he tended to the deer meat, just as Cynthia requested. Elizabeth approached me and asked, "What's going on?" "Charlotte went into town, and she's been there way too long," I answered. "But what is Cynthia doing in her tent?" Elizabeth asked. Before I could answer, a click, snap, rang out behind me. It was Cynthia exiting her tent. The sound was the lever action of her rifle. I noticed something different about my mother. Her face no longer had a blank look about it. It was something I'd never seen from her. It was a cold look, the look of a killer. Cynthia walked swiftly and quietly towards her horse. "Mom, what are you doing?" I asked. "I'm getting that girl back here," she said determinedly. "No, you're not without me," I asserted forcefully. "You're in no condition to come with me," Cynthia said. Cynthia mounted her horse. I grabbed the saddle and tried pulling myself up. Cynthia looked down at me, still with that cold stare. I hesitated, but I matched her gaze with the look of determination. "Roman, help her up," Cynthia requested. Roman looked with uncertainty, but said, "Si, senora," and gently helped me onto the horse, then returned to the deer meat. "Are you sure about this?" It was Elizabeth. And before I could answer, Cynthia said with a stern tone, "Protect the camp." "I'm in better shape for something like this than the two of you," Elizabeth proclaimed. The horse turned, and my mother glared at Elizabeth. I saw the look she gave Elizabeth, and it gave me a chill. "Protect the camp," Cynthia demanded. I whistled sharply, calling my horse Sora to follow. The horses began to move away from the camp. I looked back at Elizabeth, standing with the look of shock on her face. With the tap of the spurs, the horse surged ahead, galloping towards Blackwater. I held tightly to my mother and leaned the side of my head on her shoulder. "Mom, we have to find her," I whispered as tears filled my eyes. A firm yet gentle grip enveloped my hand. It was Cynthia, offering reassurance. "We're bringing her back, no matter what. But you're staying with the horses when we get there," Cynthia said firmly. Her grip of my hand loosened, and I spotted Blackwater just ahead of us. As we arrived at the town, the stream seemed empty. Most folks were inside the saloon or gone to their homes. The doorbell rang as I stepped inside the general store. "Oh, hi, miss. I was just closing up. Are you looking for something specific?" the seller asked, cleaning up the counter. I looked around and asked, "Did a young woman come here earlier? About my height, dark hair?" He put his hand on his chin to think. "Ah, yes. She bought the finest chocolate I have. She said it was for special someone." He didn't have time to finish his sentence when I quickly asked, "Where did she go?" "They started walking to the right," he said as he pointed to the right with his hand. "Must have been her fiancé." "She doesn't have a fiancé," I thought to myself as Cynthia lingered just outside the door, concealed from view, eavesdropping on my conversation with the shopkeeper. In a swift motion, she mounted her horse and spurred it into a gallop, following the direction the man had indicated. "Mom!" I yelled at her. "Sorry, gotta go. Thank you for your help," I said as I walked out of the store. I took Sora with me and started walking as soon as I could in the direction Cynthia had rode off with her horse. I managed to walk a couple feet when my eyes fell on an object laying on the ground. I walked closer and saw it was a chocolate bar. It made my heart pound, and I determinedly walked faster until I heard voices from the end of the street. I see Cynthia's horse standing near an I see my mother entering the darkness of the alley. Cynthia walked down the alley. She saw two men holding someone down on the ground. She stumbled upon a disturbing scene, a person pinned to the ground by two assailants. It was Charlotte, her features barely visible in the dim light. One man held her arms while the other grappled with her clothing.
"Please, let me go!"
Charlotte whimpered on the ground, tears coming out of her eyes. She received a stinging slap across her face.
"Shut up and stop screaming!"
the man attempting to open her shirt yelled. Without hesitation, Cynthia advanced, her gaze fixed on the aggressors. There was no room for doubt or remorse in her heart, only a fierce determination. "Get the hell off her!" Cynthia's voice slid through the tension, dripping with malice. One of the men turned to face her, dismissing her as a mere shadow in the darkness, but Cynthia's presence was not to be underestimated.
"What's your problem, lady? Beat it!"
the man spat. Cynthia stepped into the light, her rifle glinting in the moonlight, aimed squarely at the man's chest.
"Back off, now!"
she commanded. The assailant hesitated, seizing up the unassuming figure before him. With a smirk, he rose to his feet, assuming his blade would be enough to scare her off. Little did he know that Cynthia was no longer a woman of compromise and negotiation. Tonight, she embodied a singular purpose: to protect those under her care at any cost. And for that, she had become a force of a righteous fury. I sprinted frantically towards the alley where my mother had vanished, the echo of a gunshot reverberating through the night.
"Charlotte! Mom, no!"
In an instant, Cynthia's rifle round tore through the first assailant's stomach, sending him crashing to the ground in agony. The second man, still pinning Charlotte down, froze in disbelief. With determined steps, Cynthia advanced, her rifle clicking as she chambered another round, her gaze unwavering as she took aim at the man's head.
"What the fuck did you do, you crazy bitch?"
The man's words dripped with venom, his voice trembling with fury and disbelief.
"I didn't sign up for this, I swear. He told me it was just a robbery."
He pleaded desperately with Cynthia. As he looked into her eyes, he saw nothing but bare wrath and vengeance staring back at him. I reached the entrance of the alley, just in time to witness a flash of light and a defeating bang.
"Mom?"
I called out, my voice trembling as I spotted Cynthia amidst the lingering gun smoke.
"Get up.
Go to Eleanor. Return to camp," Cynthia instructed Charlotte sternly. Charlotte slowly sat up, her gaze fixed on Cynthia standing before her. As she began to turn towards the man who had held her down, Cynthia interjected,
"Charlotte, come to me, please."
Charlotte turned back towards Cynthia, slowly rising to her feet. As she approached, Cynthia kept her rifle trained on the man, still groaning on the ground, ready to interview if needed. Only when Charlotte stood beside her did Cynthia lower her rifle. Charlotte attempted to meet Cynthia's gaze, but Cynthia averted her eyes. She couldn't bear for Charlotte to see the bloodlust burning within her, nor did she want to risk weakening herself by comforting the raw trauma reflected in Charlotte's eyes. There were tasks ahead that demanded unwavering resolve. "Charlotte!" I shouted, my heart pounding as she turned her gaze towards me, her expression dazed. As she walked towards me, I enveloped her in my arms. At first, Charlotte seemed unresponsive, her arms hanging at her sides, but then slowly she raised them to return the embrace. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she sobbed, and I held her close, murmuring, "I'm so sorry, Charlotte. I should have been here with you." "Eleanor, get her back to the camp," Cynthia instructed. "You're right. Let's go," I agreed. Cynthia slung her rifle on her back and drew out her knife. "Go on ahead. I'll catch up," Cynthia replied. "What? Let's just leave now," I urged. Cynthia spotted a small group of women observing from a distance. "Please, Eleanor, get Charlotte to safety. I'll join you at the camp," Cynthia insisted. Reluctantly, I agreed and led Charlotte to Sora. I struggled to mount the horse, feeling Charlotte's arms wrapped around my leg, offering assistance. With her help, I scrambled onto Sora's back, and we rode out of Blackwater together. Meanwhile, Cynthia approached the two men. The one who had restrained Charlotte lay dead, his head split open by a rifle round. The other man lay wounded, his breath shallow. As she drew near, he whispered, "My legs. I can't feel my legs." "The bullet shattered your spine," Cynthia informed him. "I don't want to die. Please don't let me die like this," he pleaded. She knelt beside him. "This is what it feels like when you strip someone of their control," she explained solemnly. Cynthia covered the man's mouth with her hand and plunged her blade into his chest. A muffled groan escaped him as Cynthia continued to stab him relentlessly, each blow rendering him more limp. Eventually, the man fell silent, no longer struggling. Cynthia stood up, taking a deep breath, realizing that her actions would not go unnoticed. As she looked around, she saw a group of women approaching. They recognized the two men. "You got 'em! Those men have been terrorizing women in Blackwater for weeks," one of the women said to Cynthia. Another added, "The sheriff tried to catch them, but they always slipped away." Cynthia cleaned her knife, her mind racing. "I need to leave. I have people waiting for me," she told them. "We'll tell the sheriff we took care of them. Half of us were their victims. He'll believe us," the women assured her. Cynthia thanked them and made her way to her horse, her heart heavy with the weight of what she had done. As she rode away, thoughts of her father's death consumed her. His passing had unleashed a vengeance and hatred within her that she had never known before. She realized she was no longer the same woman she used to be, consumed by a desire for justice and revenge that burned like a wildfire within her soul. She did what she had to do, protecting the family at all costs. Even though Charlotte wasn't blood-related, it made no difference to Cynthia. In that moment, their bond was stronger than any blood tie, forged in the fires of adversity and cemented by an unyielding sense of loyalty.